Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Mishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shishimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayo Mishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, C.C. Guru and Siddhi Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vrishthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, can you move the microphone closer to your mouth?
Absolutely.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anything that tapas wants, I will do. Life after life. Hare Krishna. Okay, so this morning we're going to chant together text 4, and we'll be speaking on text 4 and 5. Looks like. Yeah. There we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricham Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamadirya Nasta Preshabadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Shloka Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So, 4th Canto, Chapter 31, Text 4. Tam Agatam Ta Uttaya Paranipatya Abhinandya Cha Pujayitva Yata E Adisham. Okay, so it's going to be Yata Adisham Shukasinam Atta Bruvan Tamagatam Tautaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadesham Sukhasinamata Bruvan Tamagatam Tautaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadisham Sukhasinamata Bruvan Tamagatam Tautaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadisham Sukhasinamata Bruvan. Anyone like to chant? Tamagatam Uttaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadesham Sukhasinam Atabruvan Tamagatam Uttaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadesham Sukhasinam Atabruvan Tamagatam Uttaya Pranipatya Binandyacha Pujayitva Yatadesham Sukhasinam Yatabruvan. Anyone else? Tam, to him. Agatam, appeared. Te, all the Pracetas. Uttaya, after getting up. Pranipatya, offering obeisances. Abhinandya, offering welcome. Cha, also. Pujayitva, worshipping. Yata Adisham, according to regulative principles. Sukha Asinam, comfortably situated. Ata, thus. Abruvan, they said. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. As soon as the Pracetas saw that the great sage Narada had appeared, they immediately got up, even from their asanas. As required, they immediately offered obeisances and worshipped him, and when they saw that Narada Muni was properly seated, they began to ask him questions. Purport. It is significant that all the Pracetas were engaged in practicing yoga to concentrate their minds on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 5. Pracetas uchu swagatam te surasredhya dishya no darshanam kataha Tava chakramanam brahman abhayaya yata ravehe. Translation: all the Pracetas began to address the great sage Narada. O great sage, O Brahmana, we hope you met with no disturbances while coming here. It is due to our great fortune that we are now able to see you. By the traveling of the sun, people are relieved from the fear of the darkness of night, a fear brought about by thieves and rogues. Similarly, your traveling is like the sun's, for you drive away all kinds of fear. Purport. Srila Prabhupada. Because of the night's darkness, everyone is afraid of rogues and thieves, especially in great cities. By great, he means big. It's a great city. If it was so great, it wouldn't be any rogues and thieves. He means big. People are often afraid to go out on the streets, and we understand that even in a great city like New York, people do not like to go out at night. More or less, when it is night, everyone is afraid, either in the city or in the village. However, as soon as the sun rises, everyone is relieved. Similarly, this material world is dark by nature. Everyone is afraid of danger at every moment. But when one sees a devotee like Narada, all fear is relieved. Just as the sun disperses darkness, the appearance of a great sage like Narada disperses ignorance. When one meets Narada or his representative, a spiritual master, one is freed from all anxiety brought about by ignorance. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Nenataismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakapatarubhashta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavani Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So by your good wishes and blessings, I'll try to say a few things here. Remember that T-shirt a few years ago? It said, "No fear." Remember that? It was all over the place. I'm afraid they went out of business. Remember that? It was everywhere. No fear. I don't know what the story was behind it, but I always thought, what are they talking about? Motorcycle. Everyone I've ever known who's ridden a motorcycle has been in an accident. Me too. So it's like no fear. So it's kind of interesting that because I was thinking the only person who has no fear is the devotees, the great devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees. They have no fear in this material world, but actually the material world is a very fearful place. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But the first thing is the verse 4 is significant because this is bringing up the proper etiquette. When we come in the presence of a great soul, a great devotee, or actually any devotee, one should be very, very respectful. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter, Krishna explains there's different austerities of the body, of the mind, and of words. And this Guru Pragya, how does that verse go? But it says one should offer respects to superiors like the father and mother and the spiritual master. Deva Dvija Guru Pragya. Deva, Devatas, Dvija, Brahmanas, Deva, Guru, spiritual master, Pragya, and other superiors like the father and mother. So it's a sign of culture that one is very, very respectful to one's superiors, and depending on who that superior is, that respect will be adjusted accordingly. So the Pracetas in themselves are great souls, but here Narada Muni is appearing, and immediately, and Prabhupada makes a point in the verse. He even got up in their asanas. So it's not when a great soul enters, you go, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. And you remain sitting. I remember Rupa Vilas told me that he was teaching the Gurukula kids this, that if you don't stand up when an important person worthy of respect enters the room, it's actually bad for your health. He says in the Ayurveda, it says the life airs automatically are pushing up, and you should stand up. I mean, there's many reasons, but he said that was a health reason. It's actually unhealthy for the body because you actually should be standing up, pushing like that to offer respect. You don't remain sitting and not take notice. And it's described here that they immediately got up and then offered obeisances and respects, offered a welcome, worship, and then gave him a comfortable seat. So there's etiquette here. One, a saintly person, a person worthy of respect, one's spiritual master, whoever it may be, that's proper etiquette. It's proper for the person offering such respect, and on all levels, like that. It should be done. One's mind cannot be peaceful if one doesn't offer proper respect to a worthy person, like that. And all good fortune is there if one does such a thing. And it'd be brought up maybe in the next verse, but there are many places where this is brought up, where one offers proper respect. Then the spiritual master, the devotee, is inclined to give blessings and speak nicely. There's some reciprocation there. Like if you walk into a room of people and no one even notices you're there, how do you feel? But if everyone welcomes you and how you doing, and just like in this verse here, they asked him, I hope you met no disturbances on your journey here, right? When someone comes and says, how was the trip? Was everything okay? So there's some reciprocation there, respectful reciprocation. And then such a person is inclined to give their blessings. Of course, what that refers to here is in the form of speaking. And that's the main point of the verse here, the verses, is that Narada Muni is compared to the sun, which travels, it's traveling, and when the sun rises in the morning, all fear goes away. The night is very, very dark, scary time. That's the time of demoniac activities, thieves and rogues. Why do thieves and rogues pick the night? Of course, nowadays it's on the internet, so I guess that's darkness too. They can't. Why do they pick the night? Can't see them. So I guess the internet, you can't see them. They hide behind all kinds of different walls. So if you're a rogue and a thief, you don't want to be seen, because if you're seen, you are caught. Right? That. So you need to hide. So I guess traditionally, or even today, rogues and thieves, they like the night, because that's the time people won't see you, and they're sleeping, they're unaware, and you can perform your nefarious activities. So people are afraid. This example is given of the nighttime. But when the sun rises, there's some relief, like that. It's auspicious rising of the sun. So in the exact same way, great souls like Narada Muni, they're traveling throughout this world, and wherever they appear, it's as if the sun rose, in the sense that then there's no longer any need to be fearful. And what that's referring to is the fact they can give instructions how to become Krishna conscious, because when one's Krishna conscious, one is not fearful, like that. So now this previous verse about respecting devotees, there's just one verse I wanted to mention, because this is in Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Instruction. It's a short book, and every single verse is filled with essential instructions for devotees and how to advance. And he explains how to relate to the devotees of the Lord, because that's what we're learning here, the Pracetas. How do they relate to a great devotee like Narada Muni? Because, Narada Muni is not welcomed everywhere he goes. In fact, Daksha cursed him, right? He was very upset with him being around. He cursed him like that. Very, very upset. So not everyone appreciates. So one should learn to appreciate the devotees of the Lord. But this is the text 5, the Krishneti Yasya Giritam Manasadrita verse. And the translation is, because there are different kinds of devotees, and how do you relate to devotees? It's something that has to be learned, and Rupa Goswami is making this a point. So one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha. It is engaged in worshiping the deity, and one should associate with and faithfully serve the pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. And in this is a good-sized purport. Prabhupada describes the different levels of devotees: the neophyte devotee, the intermediate, and the uttamadhikari, the great, very, very advanced devotees. And there's a particular way you offer respects to all of them. And so that's one verse that's worth noting and studying the purport, because the great ornament of a devotee is etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette. That's a sign of culture. So the fearlessness that's there within the devotee is brought about. Of course, it's there in the vapu. Whenever you're in the presence of a great devotee of the Lord, you feel very, very secure. But the main thing is the vani, the instructions. He's giving instructions how to become fearless in this material world. There's a nice song by Govinda Das. He's speaking. This Bhajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. So Abhaya Charanara Vindare. You know what that means? Yeah, fearless at the lotus feet. Abhay, no fear. Abhaya Charanara, lotus feet, Charana Vindare. So he's saying in this song that he's actually speaking to his mind. Because the mind is, through the mind we're perceiving this material world. The mind means accepting and rejecting what's fearful, what's not. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that this is the mode of ignorance. They don't know what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. That's one of the things, what to do, what not to do, what is religion. So, passion. Ignorance is you always pick the wrong thing. So mode of passion is you don't know what is to be feared and what's not to be feared. So point is, fearfulness is the basic condition. And there's healthy fear of things and there's unhealthy fear, right? So unfortunately, people in the mode of passion, they pick the wrong thing to be afraid of. Like that. They pick the wrong thing. But one should be fearful of different things in this material world on all levels. We shouldn't be foolish. As I think Maharaj mentioned the other day about the seat belts. Someone asked Prabhupada about, if devotees are transcendental, why do we have to wear seat belts? And Prabhupada said, don't be a fool. You can get in an accident if you get in an accident not wearing a seat belt. Serious things can happen like that. And that's why they passed that law so many years ago. So many people's lives have been saved from wearing seat belts. So what to be feared and what not to be feared. So in this song here, he's telling his mind that the lotus feet of Sri Nandanandana, that's Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, those lotus feet are the source, or they make one fearful. One takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, which means to be fully absorbed in serving the lotus feet of the Lord and the devotees who are always at the feet of the Lord. That's what that means also when you talk about the lotus feet of Krishna. Well, you go to the lotus feet of Krishna, you'll see so many devotees there. So it's serving his lotus feet means serving his devotees also. And they bestow upon person fearlessness, and he's saying this dulabha manava janama satsange torohoi bhava sindure. He says you get a rare human body. It's very rare we get a human body. Extremely rare. Like you think winning the lottery's rare. It's even rarer to get a human body. I don't know what the odds are. I think it's millions and millions to one to win the lottery, right? So there's so many different species of life. 8,400,000, right? Just all kinds of species of life. So to get a human body, very rare. And jana satsange. In this human form of life, it's so rare and it's so valuable. See, rare means not so often, but all rare can also mean valuable, like a rare gem or jewel. So it's rare in the sense that it's very valuable because satsange, you can take advantage of saintly association. And what's the value of that association? Toro e bhava sindure. Bhava sindhu means the ocean of material existence. You can cross over it. You can't do that in any other form of life. You just don't have the desire. Even the devatas, they're enjoying their idea that they're thinking of having a great time here. So this is he's speaking to his mind. You'll find fearlessness at the lotus feet of Krishna, serving Krishna, taking advantage of satsange, devotees of the Lord. And then he goes on, he says, something about this Bhava Sindhu, a little information, in case you forgot. The Sita Atapa Bata Barishana Edini Yamini Jajare, Dipala Sevanu, Kripa Durajana, Chapala Sugalabalajire. He says, day and night I remain sleepless, suffering heat and cold, wind and rain. So the dualities of this material world are always forced upon us. And it's a miserable condition. And if we're not suffering now, just wait. Just wait. It will come. It just comes automatically. The Prahlad Maharaj said, just like happiness and distress, they just come automatically. You don't have to endeavor. The happiness will come, and if you're suffering, happiness will come, and if you're enjoying, distress will come. Just wait. It's coming. It's right on schedule. Like that. It's on schedule. Krishna has the schedule. Doesn't reveal it to us, because if you knew that tomorrow you were going to stub your toe and have to go to the hospital, how would you feel about that all day today? You couldn't do anything, right? That's why our karma is not revealed to us. We couldn't even act. That's why our previous lives are forgotten, and in the future we couldn't even act. If we actually knew everything we did in the past and what's coming in the future, we couldn't even move. There's a lot coming our way, and there's a lot of things in the past. So Krishna says, Shmitra Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna adjusts the remembering and knowledge and forgetfulness in such a way where we can just get through the day. Like that. You ever know someone who worries too much? They just worry too much. Some people worry so much they actually have to take medication. Some people worry so much they have to actually be institutionalized. It's overwhelming. All the things they worry about, it's overwhelming. They can't get through the day. And they're worrying about not only the things that happen today, but they're worrying about all the things that actually happened in the past, the things they said and did, and they're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now or this or that, and they just are overwhelmed by worry. There's these different statistics about what we worry about the past and what we did and so on, and the future, which we have no control over, and even in the present. And it works out to be about all the things we worry about. There's only about 5 to 10%, which is actually we can do anything about anyway. So 90% or more of the things we worry about, there's no reason to worry about it, because there's nothing you can do about it. Can you really do anything about the past? You did it. It's done. Or the future, we don't really know. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, act in times that are with thee, in progress thee shall call. So act in the present. So he's saying here that all this suffering is there, and then for a bit of flickering happiness I vainly serve wicked and miserly men. So we're serving so many different, our senses and so many different people in this material world. They're never satisfied. Our senses are never satisfied. Our bosses are never satisfied. No, family members are never satisfied. No one's ever satisfied because you can't get any satisfaction. So that's our situation. And then he goes on to talk about Edana Yovana Putra Parijana Iti Kyachi Paratiti Re. So what are the valuable things in this material world that we're holding on to versus Edana, money, wealth, Yovana, our youth, our youthful energy, like that. Putra, that means children, Parijana, friends and family. So all these different things. But what real happiness do we get from any of these? Because they're temporary. They're temporary. Just like you get older, you can think about your youthful days, but they're gone. Right? They're just gone. There's this birthday card I got once. It said, we all get to be young once. Then you open up and it says, but your time's over. Your time's over. Like that. It's over. We all get to be one, but your time's over. It's appropriate. When you get older, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. We can all this old fogies can sit around and talk about, oh, Prabhu, when I was your age, I was, out in Sankirtan and this and that, so much energy, and it's gone. And it's not coming back. Doesn't matter about the plastic surgery or the things you take and energy, and it's gone. That's just the nature of this material world. Everything is born and grows and maintains and offers byproducts and then dwindling, and then it ends, and then you got to start over because you had a certain amount of karma. We all have a certain amount of karma we collected to add up to this life, but when it runs out, it runs out. Just like if you have, a certain amount of money, you can maybe go on a vacation for 3 days. If you have a lot of money, maybe you can take one of those world cruises. Like they had that one world cruise that came back, and no one had COVID because they were out at sea for like 6 months, and then they came back, and some didn't want to get off the boat because they figured we just missed the whole thing. So it depends how much money you have. That's how long your vacation is. So if you have a lot of punya, you get a body as a demigod, and you can actually go on for thousands and thousands of years. Or you may have another body where you only live for a few hours. It's your karma, then it ends. So that's just what's going on. So how much pleasure can these things give you, even when they're here? You know, how much pleasure can money give you, or your youthfulness, or family and friends and so on? Not a lot. And then it's all taken away. Kamala dala jala jivana dala talamala. It says, it compares his life to like a lotus flower in the water, and there's a little drop of water on the end of it. And if you know lotus flowers, they're very glossy. So the water just beads up and falls off. Just a little movement of the wind, and it just, doop, that's it. So this jivana talamala, this life is tottering just like the water on the end of a lotus flower petal. Any second, it can go. So that's the nature of this material world. Therefore, he's saying, Bhajahure mana. He said, no, Bhajahure haripad nitere. Therefore, you should take shelter of Lord Hari's lotus feet. And he says, engage in the 9 kinds of devotional service. The Shravanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, Smara Vandanam Pada Sevanam Dasyare, Pujana Saki Jana Atma Naveda, Govinda Das Abhilasare. So Govinda Das is saying, my dear mind, this is what I would like you to do. Instead of absorbing yourself in the fearful temporary nature of this material world, take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And how you do that? By engaging in the 9 processes of devotional service. That's how you do it. How do we become fearful? What's Narada Muni we're going to be reading? What's Narada Muni going to tell the Pracetas? He's going to tell them to engage in the Lord's devotional service. And that's done these different 9 processes of devotional service. And that is the real key for being fearless in this material world. One's not foolish, but one becomes fearless because one transcends the darkness of ignorance. One transcends this material nature. That's what actually is happening. So, we're doing on time. And Prabhupada also said that's a symptom of a person who's Krishna conscious. They're actually very, very jolly and happy, and they're fearless. Because they're always feeling Krishna's presence also. You're always feeling the presence of one spiritual master and Krishna, then what's there to be afraid of? You know, and it's not that the nature of this material world necessarily goes away, but when you have, Prabhupada gives the example, just like a little child at the zoo, right? There's a tiger roaring, and because the child has his father's hand, he's not at all afraid. He's not afraid. Your parent is there. So one feels very, very secure and fearless in the presence of one's father, like that, like a young child. That's how he feels. So when one is feeling Krishna's presence, feeling the presence of the spiritual master and the devotees, one is actually fearless in this material world. And fearless for what? For executing Krishna consciousness and preaching Krishna consciousness. That's why we want to be fearless, not like the T-shirt. You know, they have these extreme sports, right? Extreme sports where people like jump off cliffs and they ride their bicycle off a cliff or this. And all these, they call them extreme because they're extremely dangerous, right? Foolish. And they have these, videos of people just like practically killing themselves in these accidents because of these extreme sports. I remember, a few years ago, that gentleman in Yosemite, the thing where they jump off the cliff and they have like an outfit, like little wings, and they glide for a little while, and then they pull a parachute, and they, it's illegal. It's illegal there. And it didn't open. His parachute didn't open. And they found his camera from his helmet. And he's flying along, having a good time. So all of a sudden the mood changes. Parachute didn't open, and all of a sudden, whack! He went right into something he shouldn't have gone into. So, and he was one of the best in the world. He was one of the best. Was one of the best. Just like they say, there's 2 kinds of pilots. Do you know that? Good ones and dead ones. Like that. Good ones and dead ones. So material world's a dangerous place, so we don't want to become fearless so we can just just be crazy and foolish. That's not our fearlessness. The fearlessness is to preach Krishna consciousness, to give people Krishna consciousness. And because there's so many challenges within and without to pushing on Krishna consciousness. This is the nature of the material world, because the very nature of this material world is un-Krishna conscious. That's just the nature of this material world. So don't be surprised that there are many difficulties and challenges as far as pushing on Krishna consciousness. But the devotees, the more and more they take shelter of the holy names, take shelter of spiritual masters' instructions in serving Krishna, the process of Krishna consciousness, they feel fearless. They feel fearless in serving. So this is what Narada Muni is going to be explaining to the Pracetas. So we can end here. There will probably be some discussion on this point of fearlessness and devotional service. Anyone like to say anything?
I have a question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dharmasetu, Das Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Prabhu, my question is related to fearlessness, and it is as follows. There is a very popular Vaishnava saying that says that this material world is a place where there is danger at every step. And my difficulty is as follows. I do not understand the meaning in the context of this sentence. I do not understand the meaning of the expression at every step. Is it that fear is attacking us in the material world by the second? Because today I went for book distribution, everything was okay, I came back, now I am listening to your class. I didn't notice that fear was there attacking me at every step or by the second. So could you explain how it happens for fear to be attacking us at every step while we are living in the material world? How does it happen?
Okay, that's a very good question. You're referring to a verse, padam padam yadipadam natesham. What that means is there is the possibility of something going wrong at any moment. So that, but it means at every step, something can go wrong. That's the material world. And the devotees are not interested in a place where there's danger at every step. They want to go to the param padam, Krishna's abode, where such things don't exist. So the nature of the material world is the possibility of something going wrong, being in difficulty, in a fearful situation of distress, is there at any moment. We just don't know. We just don't know. So who wants to live in a place where at every moment something could go wrong? Just like you buy an old car. You ever buy a car so old that you never really know if you're going to make it? You ever buy one of those kind of cars? Temples used to have them all the time. Prabhu, here's the keys, go on Sankirtan. So brakes are out. There's, something go wrong. An old car, you got to be careful because it could be an accident because you just don't know what's working and what's not working. So what that means is something can go wrong at any moment. It's not saying that every single second something's going to go wrong, like some kind of a Three Stooges routine or something like that every moment. But anything can go wrong. What an atmosphere to be in. Prabhu, you want to add to that?
Yeah, not only at every step, but like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was driving and hit a tree, finished. At every roll, not only every step, any roll. And about every year about 600 people die from rolling off their bed.
My
not only
God.
every step, you got to be careful when you roll over in bed. It's a dangerous place.
Brahmachari doesn't have a problem with that. They sleep on mats. So, right.
Thank you, Dharmasetu Prabhu. The other side of his question is, I went out on Sankirtan and I'm listening to Bhagavatam and I'm not feeling fear.
Of course.
At every step. So that's the example Prabhu gave in class, that when you're holding your father's hand, there may be a roaring tiger right on the other side of glass, but you don't experience the fear. The example is given of a cat. It has its kitten in its mouth. It's carrying the kitten. The kitten is quite happy, no problem at all. But if a rat or a mouse is in the mouth of the kitten, then big problem. Scared to death because they know they're going to die soon. So when we engage in devotional service, and we're not really in this world, we're protected by the Daivi Prakriti of the Lord, by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, and so we should not. That's a good symptom that, yes, you are in Krishna consciousness when that's there.
Yeah, there's so many stories of devotees in very difficult situations, and they're calling out the Lord Nrsingadev and chanting Hare Krishna, and somehow or other the difficulty goes away just like that. Yeah. That disciple of Radhanath Maharaj, that story about he was in the Taj, that hotel. He was on a SWAT team when those people took over, and they were in there, and the terrorists were throwing, they were shooting up every place, and they were up above on some balcony, and they're throwing these smoke bombs. So you couldn't see a thing. So he was in there, bullets flying everywhere, and he couldn't see a thing, and he was just standing there thinking, I don't know what's going to happen. He's just chanting the Nrsingadev prayers. And then when the smoke cleared, he didn't even know it, but he was actually behind a pillar. And then they're shooting at him. So many people around him were killed, but he was right behind that pillar. And the bullets were coming through and all that. And he just realized that Lord Nrsingadev just protected me because I had no idea what was going on. Lord Nrsingadev protected him as a pillar. So what can you do? There are situations, and all we can do is take shelter of the holy name and the Lord. Because the material world is a dangerous place. Padam vipadam na te sham. So, and don't worry, if you don't think it is, Krishna will reveal it to you. He'll reveal it to you. Talking about old cars, I'll tell you, we had an old SanDiego car here back in the 80s. I remember, this, you go up Claremont Mesa Boulevard, up the hill there, towards Balboa and Genesee up there. I remember coming down that hill, and no brakes in the car. Just coming down the hill thinking, Hare Krishna, this is it, this is it. Just, what do you call it, metal to the, just, and it just stopped behind another car. It was, I forget the devotee with me. He said, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So any second, anything could happen. And when those things happen, Krishna is showing us the nature of this material world and that we should take shelter. So, and they're just a little test because there's a big one. What's the big test? Death. That's the big one. And Krishna says in the Gita that, what is that? Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Mahato bhayat. The big one, the big fear, the big thing to be afraid of is death, of falling down into the lower species of life, forgetting Krishna at the time of death. So even a little bit of devotional service can protect them from these mahato bhayat, the great fear. And death will come and we'll forget Krishna, and who knows where we're going to go. So that's the big one we got to work on. So we can all practice today. Right down. Anything else? Any questions or comments?
Do you mind just one little drop on the same subject matter?
Please. Bucket.
We may not have reached it, personally speaking, but it lies before us that when we realize we're spirit soul, the soul can't be harmed at all. Those are actually pure devotees, Krishna conscious devotees. There's nothing to fear because Maya can't touch them. Material energy, you can't. What's the verse? You can't cut. You can't, douse. You can't burn. There's nothing that can harm you in this material world when you're on the spiritual platform serving the Supreme Person.
So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Yep, please. More.
I was asking yesterday, what's the name of the Vishnu that Lord Chaitanya would go and have darshan of when the Anavasara ceremony was taking place in Puri? And my mind was saying, what is it, Adhokshaja? But it's Alanath. It's for those who might have been listening yesterday. The proper name is Alanath,
Okay.
who Lord Chaitanya would go to see and would see Shamasundar and the Vishnu deity.
Okay. Hare Krishna.